Constantine XI Dragases Palaiologos, Latinized as Palaiologus, was the last reigning Byzantine emperor, reigning as a member of the Palaiologos dynasty from 1449 to his death in battle at the fall of Constantinople. Following his death, he became a legendary figure in Greek folklore as the marble emperor, who would awaken and recover the empire and Constantinople from the Ottomans. His death marked the end of the Roman Empire, which had continued in the East for 977 years after the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Biography. Constantine was born in Constantinople, as the eighth of 10 children to Manuel II Palaiologos and Helena Dragas, the daughter of the Serbian magnate Constantine Dragas. He was extremely fond of his mother and added her surname next to his own dynastic one when he ascended the imperial throne. He spent most of his childhood in Constantinople under the supervision of his parents. He was governor of Selymbria for a time, until surrendering the role to his brother Theodore in 1443. During the absence of his older brother John at the Council of Florence in Italy, Constantine served as his regent in Constantinople. Despot of the Morea. Constantine became the despot of the Morea in October 1443, ruling from the fortress and palace in Mistra. At the time, Mistra, a fortified town also called Sparta or Lacedaemon due to its proximity to the ancient city, was a center of arts and culture rivaling Constantinople. 20 years before, he had aided his brother John to consolidate Byzantine control over the Morea, campaigning against the Latin princes who still held parts of it, and except for the Venetian possessions of modern Corinth and now Plion, the entire peninsula came under Byzantine control. After establishing himself as despot, Constantine strengthened the defenses of the Morea by reconstructing a wall across the Isthmus of Corinth called the Hexamilion, on the suggestion of the famous scholar and teacher of his, Platon. In summer 1444, Constantine marched out of the Morea, invading the Latin Duchy of Athens. He swiftly conquered Thebes and Athens, forcing its Florentine duke, Nerio II Acciaiuoli, a vassal of the Ottoman Sultan, to pay him tribute. The Turkish response was inevitable. 2 years later, the Sultan Murad II, who had come out of retirement, led an army of 50,000–60,000 soldiers into Greece to put an end to the pretensions of Constantine. His purpose was not to conquer Morea but rather to teach the Greeks and their despots a punitive lesson. The Ottoman army reached the Hexamilion the 27th of November 1446. Constantine attempted to parley with the Sultan, but, according to the historian Laonikos Chalkokundila, his terms were not moderate. For he demanded that the isthmus be allowed to stand as it was for him and that he get to keep all the Sultan's lands beyond it that he had subjected. Constantine and his brother Thomas braced for the attack at the Hexamilion, which the Ottoman army reached on the 27th of November 1446. While the wall could hold against medieval attacks, Sultan Murad used bombards to supplement the usual siege engines and scaling ladders. The bombards breached the wall on the 10th of December 1446. Murad's janissaries poured through the opening, and the defenders panicked and fled. Constantine and Thomas attempted to rally their soldiers, and failing, barely escaped to Mistra. Murad split his forces, giving one part to his advisor Turahan while leading the other part along the southern shore of the Gulf of Corinth, plundering and destroying as his troops advanced. While neither Patras or Mistra fell to the Ottoman troops, the province was devastated. An estimated 60,000 people were taken prisoner by the Sultan's forces and sold to the slave markets of Turkey. Constantine and his brother Thomas were forced to make themselves vassals of the Ottoman Sultan and pay tribute. All hopes of improving Byzantine fortunes by expanding their hegemony in the Morea had failed. Marriages. Constantine XI married twice. The first time on 1 July 1428 to Theodora Tocco, niece of Carlo I Tocco of Epirus. who died in November 1429, the second time in August 1441, to Katerina Gatalusha, daughter of Dorino of Lesbos, who also died during childbirth in 1442. He had no children by either marriage. After his coronation, in 1451, Constantine XI sent a commission under George Sprontzes asking Mara Branković, daughter of the Serbian despot Turad Branković and Byzantine Princess Irene Kantakouzan, by then the widow of Murad II, to marry him. The proposal was welcomed by her father Turad Branković, but it founded on the objection of Mara herself, who had vowed that, if God ever released her from the hands of the infidel, she would lead a life of celibacy and chastity for the rest of her days. Accordingly, the courtship failed and Sprontzes took steps to arrange for a marriage with a princess either from the Empire of Trebizond or the Kingdom of Georgia. The choice eventually fell to an unnamed Georgian princess, daughter of George VIII. He started official negotiations with the Georgian king, who had sent an ambassador in Constantinople for that reason. It was agreed that, next spring, Sprontzes would sail for Georgia to bring the bride to Constantinople. But Constantine's plans were overtaken by the events of 1453. Reign was emperor despite the foreign and domestic difficulties during his reign, which culminated in the fall of Constantinople and of the Byzantine Empire. Contemporary sources generally speak respectfully of the Emperor Constantine. When his brother, Emperor John VIII Palaiologos, died childless, a dispute erupted between Constantine and his brother Demetrius Palaiologos over the throne. Demetrios drew support for his opposition to the union between the Orthodox and Catholic churches. The Empress Helena, acting as regent, supported Constantine. They appealed to the Ottoman Sultan Murad II to arbitrate the disagreement. Murad decided in favor of Constantine, and on 6 January 1449 Constantine was crowned in the cathedral at Mestra by the local bishop. It was rare, but not unprecedented, for an emperor to be crowned in a provincial city. Michael VIII Palaiologos, founder of the dynasty of Palaiologos, had been crowned at Nicaea, Asia Minor. John Kantakouzan was crowned at Adrianople, Thrace. But both of them held a second coronation ceremony at Constantinople, performed by the Patriarch. Constantine was the exception. The Patriarch at the time, Gregory III, was a unionist, shunned by most of his clergy. Constantine knew that to receive his crown from Gregory would add fuel to the existing fires of religious discord in the capital. He sailed from Greece on a Venetian ship and arrived in Constantinople on 12 March 1449. Sultan Murad died in 1451, succeeded by his 19-year-old son Mehmed II. Mehmed II was obsessed with the conquest of Constantinople. Constantine responded to this by threatening to release Prince Orhan, who was a contender to the Ottoman throne, unless Mehmed met some of his demands. Because of this, Mehmed considered Constantine to have broken the truce, and the following winter of 1451–52, Mehmed built Rumeli Hisari, a hill fortress on the European side of the Bosphorus, just north of the city, cutting the communication with the Black Sea to the east. This complemented the Anadolu Hisari fortress on the Anatolian side of the Bosphorus, built between 1393 and 1394 by Sultan Bayezid I. For Constantine, that was a clear prelude for a siege, and he immediately started organizing his defense. He managed to raise funds to stockpile food for the upcoming siege and to repair the old Theodosian walls. But the poor state of the Byzantine economy did not allow him to raise the necessary army to defend the city against the massive Ottoman army. Desperate for any type of military assistance, Constantine XI appealed to the West, reaffirming the union of Eastern and Roman churches which had been signed at the Council of Florence, a condition the Catholic Church imposed before any help could be provided. The union had been overwhelmingly criticized by the strong anti-union part of his subjects. His Megas Douloukas Notaras, His chief minister and military commander, is alleged to have said, "Better to see the turban of the Turks reigning in the center of the city than the Latin mitre." Finally, although some troops did arrive from the mercantile city-states in the north of Italy, the Western contribution was negligible compared to the needs. Given the Ottoman strength, Constantine also sought assistance from his brothers in Morea, but any help was forestalled by an Ottoman invasion of the peninsula in 1452. Executed to tie down the soldiers there, the siege of the city began in the winter of 1452. Constantine faced the siege defending his city of less than 50,000 people with an army only numbering 7,000 men. Confronting the Byzantine forces was an Ottoman army numbering around 10 times that, backed by state-of-the-art siege equipment provided by a very competent Hungarian arms maker named Orban. Fall of Constantinople and death before the beginning of the siege, Mehmed II made an offer to Constantine XI. In exchange for the surrender of Constantinople, the emperor's life would be spared and he would continue to rule in Mistra, to which, as preserved by G. Sprontzes, Constantine replied, "To surrender the city to you is beyond my authority or anyone else's who lives in it, for all of us, after taking the mutual decision, shall die out of free will without sparing our lives." He led the defense of the city and took an active part in the fighting alongside his troops in the land walls. At the same time, he used his diplomatic skills to maintain the necessary unity between the Genoese, Venetian and the Greek troops. He died the day the city fell, the 29th of May 1453. His last recorded words were, "The city is fallen and I am still alive." Then he tore off his imperial ornaments so as to let nothing distinguish him from any other soldier and led his remaining soldiers into a last charge where he was killed. Soldiers were sent to search amongst the dead for his body. The first body that was believed to be the emperor's, a body that had silk stockings with an eagle embroidered in it, was decapitated and marched around the ruined capital. However, it failed to gather any recognition from the citizens of Constantinople. Legacy: a legend tells that when the Ottomans entered the city, an angel rescued the emperor, turned him into marble and placed him in a cave under the earth near the Golden Gate, where he waits to be brought to life again to conquer the city back for Christians. While serving as ambassador to Russia in February 1834, Ahmed Pasha presented Tsar Nicholas with a number of gifts, including a jewel-encrusted sword supposedly taken from Constantine XI's corpse. Constantine XI's legacy was used as a rallying cry for Greeks during their war for independence with the Ottoman Empire. Today the emperor is considered a national hero in Greece. During the Balkan Wars and the Greco-Turkish War, under the influence of the Megala idea, the name of the then Greek king, Constantine, was used in Greece as a popular confirmation of the prophetic myth about the marble king who would liberate Constantinople and recreate the lost empire. Constantine Palaiologos' legacy is still a popular theme in Greek culture. The well-known contemporary composers Apostolos Kaldaris and Stamatis Spanoudakis have written elegies for the marble king, unofficial saint. Some Eastern Orthodox and Greek Catholics consider Constantine XI a saint. However, he has not been officially canonized by either church, partly due to controversy surrounding his personal religious beliefs and partly because death in battle is not normally considered a form of martyrdom by the Orthodox Church. An Orthodox martyr is one who voluntarily accepts death for his faith, typically in a situation where he has the option to give up Christianity and live, but chooses death instead. Ancestry. In popular culture, Emperor Constantine XI was portrayed by Cahit Ergut in Turkish film Istanbul and Fethet. Recep Aktürk portrays Emperor Constantine XI in the Turkish film Fethet 1453. Emperor Constantine XI is the protagonist in Constantinople, a novel by James Shipman. Bibliography. Roger Crowley, 1453. The Holy War for Constantinople and the Clash of Islam and the West. Hyperion, 2005, ISBN 1-4013-08503. Jonathan Harris, The End of Byzantium. Yale University Press, 2010. ISBN 978-0-300-11786-8. Donald M. Nicol, The Immortal Emperor. Cambridge University Press, 1992. ISBN 0-521-46717-9. Donald M. Nicol, The Last Centuries of Byzantium. Cambridge University Press, 1993, 2nd edition. ISBN 0-521-43991-4. Mern, Emma, Lena. 1453. The Fall of Constantinople. Aleph 84. ISBN 2-86839-816-2. Oxford Dictionary of Byzantium, 1991. Stephen Runciman, The Fall of Constantinople, 1453. Cambridge University Press, 1965. ISBN 0-521-09573-5. Georgios Francis, Joannes A. Milicides, Retazavoli Milicado, Eloi Polis, to Chronico tes Halos tes Constantinoples, 1998-2004, EKD, Virginia, Athens. ISBN 978960717171917.